If you've ever felt lost, if you've ever looked in the mirror and seen a stranger staring back at you, then this story is for you. Long ago, when roads were made of dust and travelers walked with the stars as their compass, there lived a young man named Kieran. Kieran was known in his village for his strong hands and quiet smile. But behind that smile lived a heart heavy with sorrow. He carried the weight of mistakes he could not forget, words spoken in anger, dreams left unfinished, and people he had pushed away. He often sat by the edge of the river, staring at his reflection and whispering, "If only I could escape this version of me, maybe I'd find peace." One morning just before sunrise, Kieran packed a small bag, tied his sandals, and began walking toward the mountains. He didn't know where he was headed, only that he wanted to go somewhere far enough that his past couldn't follow him. He thought peace was waiting for him beyond the horizon. But as he walked, the silence in his heart grew louder than ever. After 3 days of walking, hungry and tired, Kieran reached a dry valley. There he saw an old farmer plowing his field beneath a blazing sun. The soil was cracked and the earth looked lifeless. Curious, Kieran asked, "Old man, why do you work so hard on land that gives you nothing? Haven't you lost hope?" The farmer stopped, leaned on his plow, and smiled. "My boy," he said, "this land looks dead, yes, but I keep working because I know the rains will come. If I stop tilling, there'll be no field left to receive the water." Kieran frowned. "But what if the rain never comes?" The farmer laughed gently. "Then at least I'll know I didn't give up on life before it gave up on me." Kieran thanked him and walked on, his mind stirring. "Maybe I've stopped tilling my own soul," he thought. "Maybe peace can't grow in a heart I've abandoned." Days later, Kieran entered a small town surrounded by hills. By a quiet river, he found a soldier cleaning his sword. His armor was worn, and scars marked his face. Kieran sat beside him and said, "You look like a man who's seen many battles. Tell me, what's harder, fighting others or fighting yourself?" The soldier paused, his eyes lost in memory. He said, "I've fought men, beasts, and even death, but none were fiercer than the war inside me." He held his sword up to the sunlight and said, "This blade I can sharpen, but the heart becomes dull when filled with regret. It took me years to understand. Courage isn't killing your enemy, it's facing the parts of yourself you're afraid to see." Kieran sat in silence. The soldier's words struck deep. All this time he had run from his own reflection, his guilt, his pain, his truth. Maybe peace wasn't something to find, but something to face. Kieran continued his journey through dense forests. The air was thick with the scent of pine and rain. One afternoon, as he crossed a narrow path, he heard a faint cry, a sound of pain. Following it, he found a deer lying on the ground, an arrow lodged in its leg. The deer trembled as he approached, its eyes wide with fear. Kieran knelt and whispered, "Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you." Slowly he broke the arrow and cleaned the wound with water from his flask. The deer's breathing calmed. For a while they just sat together, man and creature, both wounded, both silent. Before limping away into the trees, the deer turned its head back and looked at Kieran with soft, trusting eyes. That moment struck him deeply. Even the deer stopped running to heal, he thought. But I've been running my whole life. The next day, a storm rolled over the mountains. Rain poured endlessly, and the path turned to mud. Kieran took shelter under a fallen tree. He sat there for hours, cold and drenched, as thunder echoed above. For the first time in years, he cried, not from pain, but from release. All the anger, all the guilt, all the running. It melted away with the rain. When the storm passed, the forest was silent, washed clean, and deep inside, so was Kieran. Days later, Kieran reached a quiet monastery hidden in the mountains. The air smelled of incense and pine. There, beneath a great waterfall, sat an old Zen master. His eyes closed, his breath calm and steady. Kieran bowed deeply and said, "Master, I have walked for many weeks. I have met people who taught me wisdom. I faced storms and silence. But still, peace slips through my hands. Where can I find it?" The master opened his eyes and smiled softly. "My son," he said, Peace has never left you. You've only been running too fast to feel it. He pointed toward the waterfall. Do you see the water? It flows gently over every rock. It doesn't fight the obstacles. It embraces them. That is peace. Kieran watched as the water danced over the stones, never stopping, never struggling. He realized life doesn't demand that we erase our past. It only asks that we stop running from it. That evening, Kieran sat beside the waterfall in silence. The air was cool and his heart was calm. He finally understood. He didn't need to escape the world to find peace. He only needed to stop escaping himself. When he returned to his village months later, the people noticed something different about him. He still looked like Kieran, but his eyes carried a new kind of light, the light of someone who had finally made peace, not with the world, but within his own soul. You can travel the whole world, but you can't escape yourself. True peace begins the moment you stop running and start listening to your own soul. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more heart-touching stories that inspire, heal, and help you rediscover yourself.